Hi, welcome back today. I want to do a quick video I spotted today. We're talking about the Epstein story again, and this is a video talking about Jean-Luc Burnell, alias back as 30 years ago, attacking young women, and 60 Minutes interviewed them then and did nothing. This lady who posted this 3 years ago, I think has only made this public the last few days. I'm not sure, because as I look in the comments are only from the last few days, and the video's been up for like 3 years, so seems legit. And she goes on to say a lot about how the industry connections are there. I'm not sure if she's saying is accurate, or if that's her point of view, if she's got more to say on her channel, I don't know, but I found this really shocking. And why people take so long to speak out, I find that the most distressing bit for people, to keep that in. I mean, I don't know, I'd eat me inside. But starting to put the pieces together about Epstein, Trump, and these models that have committed suicide, or, I mean, even like, Virginia Giuffre, mystery to me that she sort of knew her death was inevitable. Yeah, we're saying that she's suicided herself, but it's a convenience, isn't it, considering what's going on at the moment, that she's passed away. And I think there's just something real nasty going on behind the scenes. And I think we should, whoever's keeping it back from us should let it go and let us know about these people. Because even though they're not around now, there's still people like this in the industry that are employing young people. And we've got people who have been involved, but these things are still going on, just now, like they're called celebrities and they're called yacht clubs and all the rest of it involved. So let me know what you think in the comments, please, and please watch to the end. It's very important.
Certain that their faces will be the next to beam from the covers of the fashion magazines. They are girls as young as 15 and 16, recruited by talent scouts or sent by their local modeling agencies, because Europe has more fashion houses and magazines, and it's easier to get that first big break there than in New York. The girls are told that they'll have a modeling agency in Europe, which will get them work and be their home away from home.
Okay, so I was in the most promising model contest with John Robert Powers in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. From there, I went to New York for a competition at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. I walked the runway one time, and Monique Pollard, you'll see her in pictures with Cindy Crawford, Naomi, and all the gang, approached me and said she was Coral from Florida, a real nice little grandmotherly looking lady. Yeah, and then I met Douglas Ash, who was my handler in New York, the president of American Models, and he paraded me around New York City. Then they shipped me off to Paris for Claude Haddad, which you will soon see in this documentary. He's the right-hand man to Jean-Luc Burnell. I was in Paris. I was in Milan. It was freaking hell. I will continue. I'm going to do live streams today on my personal experiences, but again, they called me and interviewed me for this story. This aired, and nothing freaking happened.
They are girls like Sherry Bolts from Pompano Beach, Florida, a cheerleader who dropped out of high school and used her savings to buy a plane ticket to Europe when she was just 17. Her local modeling agency helped arrange it and still gets a percentage of her European income. And girls like Megan Douglas, who was a switchboard operator in Washington, D.C., when her photograph won her a spot in a modeling contest. And girls like Kimberly Barker of Nampa, Idaho, whose parents took out a loan to get the money to send her to Europe and to give her a shot at the big time. So the odds are about 1,000 to 1 that a girl will end up a successful model. A model like Debbie Haggerty, who makes about $150,000 a year, and says the top models may do all right, but it's rough for all the others trying to break through.
Nasty business, and I don't think these parents have any idea what they're sending their girls into.
What the parents are told by those local modeling agencies and talent scouts is that their daughters have been signed up with European modeling agencies which will take care of everything and become the girls' family abroad.
How many girls are on option for this?
So it's something of a shock when the girls discover that a lot of those agencies routinely take as much as 3/4 of the girls' salary. For instance, charging fees on the photographs the girls need for promotion, and ostensibly deducting taxes and Social Security, even though most of the girls are working illegally without work permits.
We have to check for that. It's very confusing.
Servan Charlotte is
Okay, so there was a time period where Claude Haddad in Paris sent me to this governmental building with my booker, Tom. Tom was actually a woman. We literally went in this governmental building. No one spoke English. We were in like a cage with a whole bunch of other people, like waiting. And then I had to go up in front of a freaking judge. They talked French, and they did some papers and stamped it. So I contend the UN is involved, and they made us teenage diplomats, and that's how they sent us over to Paris.
president of a fledgling models union in Paris. She's helping some of the girls bring lawsuits against the agencies to learn just where all that money goes.
What happens if the girl goes to the agency and says, wait a minute, how much did the client...
They never want to explain it. They just say, okay, baby, we have a lot of experience and we have to pay the tax department and we have to pay a lot of things, so don't try to understand.
So do the agencies really pay Social Security on an illegal work?
We don't even know exactly if they pay all the amount. I'm sure they don't pay for that.
The modeling agencies also own apartments all around Paris, which they rent out to the new girls who come to town.
So this is exactly how my Paris was. Mine was on Rue de Varennes, across from Musée Rodin, and also Napoleon's tomb. Okay, we all lived there. Claude's Adonis-like son, Pascal, lived upstairs where they'd have freaking orgies and do drugs. Okay, I walked in on an orgy one time to just go get the freaking vacuum cleaner. This was my life. Okay, insanity.
Several girls to an apartment, and each girl paying a lot of rent.
I lived in an apartment that was by no means nice. There was 4 girls living there at the time. We did have our own rooms, but the rooms were like the size of boxes.
Courtney Powell is from Stoneboro, Pennsylvania. And how much was the rent?
$900 a month.
And you call $900 a month?
$900 a month. That was when the franc was low, and we were each paying that.
Eileen Ford runs the Ford Modeling Agency in New York, one of the largest agencies in the world. She's known for the way she protects her girls.
Okay, she is a sick pedophile liar.
She uses the European agencies to book work for her girls abroad, so a contract with her can have a profound effect on a European agency's business. We met her at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, where she was looking for new faces. We asked her about the girls' complaints that their rent is way overpriced.
I've heard that, and I know that it's true. It is true that they're overcharged for these apartments?
Yeah, they're overcharged in New York too.
By the agencies?
Sure.
The girls say not only do a lot of agencies take financial advantage of them, sometimes they're taken advantage of in other ways too.
Oh my God.
This is my agent, Claude Haddad. If he is not a reptilian from hell, seriously, you know what my day was? 16 years old, I'd have to stand in this man's office in front of a huge wall mirror, this gross, creepy office with dark curtains, and he would stand behind me and feel my body. I'd have to stand there in my bra and underwear, and he'd tell me where I had to improve my body. Yeah, and this is the man that sent me to pretended I was going to a doctor's appointment for a checkup, but he actually was sending me for freaking breast implants, and I ran out of the hospital.
An agency owner named Claude Haddad. For years, his Paris agency Mademoiselle Prestige welcomed teenage American girls. Like other agency heads, Haddad offered many of the new girls help with the transition, temporary housing, a room in his apartment.
Nice body, huh?
Do you sometimes feel you've awakened in a candy store?
Not in a flower shop. I'm a gardener.
They're not candy, they are flowers.
And there
Just smell them, that's it. You smell the perfume.
And when they're staying in your apartment,
Yes.
you don't feel a temptation to
Absolutely
walk
not.
in on
No,
them?
absolutely not.
He's full of shit. He had several girls living there and he would rape them. I went to a party at his frickin' little castle. There was a big time model named Ashley living there too. He discovered Grace Jones and who's the wife of Mick Jagger, whoever that, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She's a big deal. So that's where he started. And I believe I met Epstein at his little Paris apartment. Not little, it was a freaking mansion. Yeah, and then when I was there at Claude's house, everyone started taking their clothes off, because it's topless there, so let's just whip our shirts off. Yeah, and I left. I walked home alone. They were all taking their clothes off.
Not at all. Not at all.
But Lorraine was 16 when Claude Haddad discovered her at a Paris street and brought her to his agency and to his house.
He asked me to come to his room, and I wouldn't go to his room, so he had decided to get into bed with me in my room. And just trying to kiss you, trying to block you, in a corner or against a wall or anything. And you would just keep talking and trying to squiggle out of it,
How many of the girls who came in told you that he had tried this sort of thing with them?
All of them.
All the girls I lived with had all except one.
How many teenage models, Mr. Haddad, have you slept with?
What do you mean by teenage?
The young girls, 16 to 19.
16, almost never.
Let me read you some letters.
Yeah.
These are letters.
I have a lot of letters too.
He walked in on me while I was in the bath, while I was changing in the room, and even did things like jumping in the bed with me while I was trying to sleep.
Yeah, and by the way, at the models' apartments, there were no locks on the doors. None. And the toilet was like a separate little room from the bath. So I'd be trying to take a bath or a shower, and we had a cokehead photographer, Barry, that lived upstairs. He would just barge in when I was taking a shower and a bath. It was deliberate. It's how they set it up.
True. I'm asking.
No, most of this, it's always, when people say something, it's always a little truth.
What's the little truth in this?
Yes, very little truth.
What do you mean little truth? What is the little
That
truth?
I hug them, that I try to flirt with them, but never more. They can say what they want.
Here's some of the words they used. Sexually disturbed. Pervert. You had to sleep with him to work.
Yep.
He almost raped me.
Yep.
What do you say? How many almost raped me? You always use almost raped me.
I'm quoting. But in this case, it was a 15-year-old girl.
And I'm
15 years old?
I don't remember. Maybe it's possible. I don't know.
Then Claude Haddad went on to say, what happens with the girls is not really his fault.
When a French girl starts to play with her body, she knows that she can have problems. She can start to have problems with men. And in America, I found out that when a girl does that, it's just, she doesn't even mean it. It's a game, but she's not thinking of what she's doing. It took me a long time to realize this.
Do you work with Claude Haddad? No, sir. No more.
Liar.
Wouldn't send your girls to him. No, ma'am.
Oh, you're full of
Why?
shit.
Why? Because I don't think he behaved properly with some of them. I know he didn't. What did he do?
Did you behave properly, ma'am? Did you behave properly? Fucking pervert.
No, and I know what he did. I have letters from girls telling you what he did. To me, it's just so reprehensible. Just so appalling. That some old sleazebag would come along and touch a girl.
But one man Eileen Ford does associate with in Paris is this man, the head of Karen Models, one of the largest.
Okay, let's get this straight. Eileen Ford knows exactly what's going on there. It's such, look, see how fake they are and liars? Jean-Luc Burnell and Claude Haddad are freaking partners. They're business partners.
Most prestigious agencies in the country. His name is Jean-Luc Burnell. The girls told us Burnell is very careful about the models who are under the protection of Eileen Ford. But Courtney and Sherry, who are not Ford models, told us about the dinners he invites his other girls to attend with his male friends.
It's a me, Marcus. You are there for the purpose of somebody wanting to take you home to bed. He is acting as a matchmaker. He's got the agency. He's got the girls. His friends say, oh, Jean-Luc, I'd like to meet some girls, or we're having a party tonight. Can you bring some girls?
And what happens if you say no?
You don't work.
Exactly. And they're all princes from faraway lands, Lebanon, Iraq, Italy, freaking you name it. They rolled in every prince of the world, and they made money off freaking trying to just date us and matchmaker us. That's it.
So you've actually known, be very careful on this, you actually have known that he has made someone pay a professional penalty for saying no.
I know, I paid a penalty for saying no.
We all did.
I was personally proposed to by himself, Jean-Luc, and I said, no way. I laughed in his face, and I had no more appointments, and I never worked.
What about the fact that people say when you come over here, you've come over knowing what you're getting into? Everyone knows.
How can you know what you're getting into? How can you know what you're getting into? This is like a foreign country. You know, I mean, I'm from Florida, little city, Pompano Beach, you know, I mean, come on. How am I going to know what goes on in Paris, you know, or Milan? I mean, I don't even speak the language. I don't know anyone, you know. I'm in a new environment, you know. I don't know anyone. I have to trust the people that I come over here with. I mean, I'm naive. I'm young.
A lot of these bigwigs at the agencies literally have a scale where in this hand they have your career, and in this hand they have what they want. And your career can go up if they get what they want. If they don't get it, your career goes down.
Many girls ever come to you and tell you that Jean-Luc invites them to parties where he has male friends, and it's clear what the arrangement is when you get there, and that you are expected to be the friend of his male friends.
Look at her.
I don't believe that. I mean, I believe they said it, but you don't believe it's true? I find it hard to believe it's true.
My
We've been
God.
told it is. Oh, I'm sure you have. You wouldn't be asking if you weren't told that was true. But I like to think that our girls are not treated that way. And I like to think that were that true, I would know it because I've broken off more than one association here in my life. And you'd break it off immediately if it were true. I would. Discotheques like the Bandouche and the Palace, models are admitted free. When we filmed at the Bandouche, Jean-Luc Burnell was there. A number of models told us he has used cocaine heavily and offered it to the girls, along with help in their careers. Many of the girls who spoke with us said openly that they had been regular cocaine users, but some warned that there were things that went beyond cocaine. This one asked to be photographed and
By the way, the queens of the dance club, Paulina Poroskova with Rick Ocasek. So Paulina, you whining about not having Rick's money, nobody gives a shit.
Hello. So you first met Jean-Luc Burnell in a nightclub when he offered you drugs. Cocaine. And Jean-Luc, did he use drugs?
Oh, yes.
You say, oh yes, a lot?
Well, that's why I used to like to see him, because he'd always give me a little vial of cocaine and say, you know, go have a good time in the bathroom. That was more or less, he did that with all the girls.
Yep, pretty much they all did. I never did a drug, I never drank, because I knew if I did anything, these monsters would rape me.
Well, this girl told us a few years ago she went to Jean-Luc's house with a few of his friends. She said a powerful hallucinogenic drug was slipped into her drink, and that Jean-Luc kept urging her to go in and take a bath.
I started hallucinating, and at first, you know, I was very confusing because it was very scary, because if you don't know that you've been drugged and all of a sudden you start hallucinating, that's very scary.
She said she managed to get out of the house, but stayed disoriented for 24 hours. But this ex-model says several years ago she went to Jean-Luc's house and didn't get away. She asked to have her voice and face disguised. He gave you a drink?
Yes.
You drank it, and then what?
I blacked out. I don't remember anything after that.
The next thing you remember
was being in this man's bed.
who was he?
I have to say the name. It was Jean-Luc from Karen's modeling agency.
You were raped.
Yes, I do know that.
You're sure?
Yes, I'm positive. I know.
You think everybody knows this about Jean-Luc Burnell?
Oh, yes. A lot of people know that. A lot of people.
They continued to deal with him.
Everyone continues to do it. I don't know why.
We played a tape of the second girl's.
Do you see how this strategy is just like Project Veritas? State the obvious, drag it out, excuse me, and then ultimately, like these people, they did nothing. Again, 30 years old this shit is. 30 years!
Story of drugs and rape to Eileen Ford.
I don't know what to tell you. That's horrible.
And this is the first time you've ever heard one of these stories.
Absolutely.
Because we have talked to 5 other girls who say that they have had drugs put in their drinks by Jean-Luc or Jean-Luc's friends.
I hope you're wrong. And for his sake, I hope you're wrong.
Eileen Ford says she's sure Jean-Luc has used drugs, and she even warned him about it.
I have certainly asked him never to have drugs around in front of my models.
That's all you've ever said to him.
Well, that's a pretty fair warning.
But were you ever told about this and ever raised it with him?
The drugs? You mean being doped up and put to bed?
Getting girls drugged up and into bed with him or his friends?
No.
Have girls ever come back and complained to you that he took them to parties with people who dealt in drugs?
No.
So here they are, the fresh new faces from Omaha and Washington and Pompano Beach and Wichita. Every girl hoping for a lightning bolt that will transform an ordinary teenager into a superstar. While not far away, the wiser and older girls of 19 and 20 say someone has to warn them what may lie ahead.
I can't really see any solution to the problem that's in Paris at this moment, because I think there'll always be people who are sending their girls over thinking, well, she's different. Every mother believes that her daughter is different. And it's sad. I think it really is sad. When she could have been going to her junior prom, she was hanging out at the bandouche with a bunch of playboys, shoving cocaine up her nose.
But to be honest with you, I wanted to go. And I saw this as an opportunity, and I still see it as an opportunity. I know I was meant there to be a watcher. For me personally, my parents didn't have any idea. My parents loved me at the time, and they had good intentions. But now they don't. And so, Mom and Dad, I don't understand. I don't know how you thought this day would never come. For the past 2 years, I've lived hunted and on the run, and you allowed me to sink as low as to living in the woods by myself with nothing. And I'll never understand it, and I'll never be able to express to you the depths of confusion and heartache that I feel. And all I want is my kids back. I don't care about any of this. It's not that hard to do the right thing, is it? I love you, Sid and Grace.
What I found out about Heather was that she was a former model with Claude Haddad. And inside, what I found out is given me insights into the institutions, the organizations, the people behind the trafficking scheme. She never met Epstein. Best to her knowledge, she worked for the modeling agency which sent her to Paris to work with Jean-Luc Burnell, CEO of Karen Models Agency, and an associate and good friend with Maxwell and Epstein. The details and the names and the layouts isn't any hearsay. And checking on Heather's background, she is a legitimate survivor and is on YouTube wanting to talk and is extremely open about her experiences so far, about what she's went through. what I find very odd is why nobody has approached Heather from a Serious Source News to talk about this, because a lot of her posts and videos are with Heather in them. So I'm on camera, Harriet. So I've got to go through each of the names, come back to you to tell you what I found out about each person named. I'm going to talk about his I'm going to talk about Sarah Kalin. I'm going to talk about his pilot of 30 years who for some odd reason has never been charged. Never saw a thing in 30 years. Okay. In this matter, I want to recover as many suspects, modelling agencies, investors, lobbyists, whom have Epstein nature towards young ladies. We are gonna today, young girls I'd say, today I'm gonna talk about Heather, because her YouTube channel only has 4,000 subscribers to this point I'm recording, and has gone off the map. Because the criminals and the child abusers are wanting her locations, and she's had to move quite a bit to get away from this. This might sound a lot like conspiracy, but if we please go and look at her channel, Heather Blessington, it just pops up very easily. You'll know when you see it, and there's a lot of videos on there. I'm only going to show you a short few today. But yeah, I'm going to look into these people who haven't been held accountable, and Trump isn't the only one. Okay, where was I up to? Yeah, she fears for her family. Her children at one point were taken. It's hard to bend your brain around these details, because a lot of it has been manipulated and lied about. I do believe some of these things do exist, but there's a lot of lies out there, like Ali Carter. At first I was hoping I'd find something that legitimately says this lady is out of sorts, or, you know, is lying, basically. It don't matter what her mental health is, I have to be honest. But I want to recover a lot of the enablers towards this. This was recorded for educational purposes. Please don't harass or take my word in detail. I will show you what I've recovered so far, and I feel, looking more into this, whatever was happening with victim Virginia Giuffre, it does give me a sinister feeling now that something serious could have happened to her regarding her knowledge. I mean, Dershowitz was also got off, you know. She did mention that Dershowitz was one of the people who awarded her, and in the end she said in a statement, "Hey Luna," say hi to camera. In a statement, she then said she was mistaken, which was suspect to me, you know. It was suspect to me that she said she only had 4 days to live. Something must have happened in them days to tell her to signify this. Now, the next clip I'm going to show you is from Blessing's site again. After this, I'm going to talk about sorry, I'm saying a lot, I'm excited. I'm going to talk about the pilot and a lot more details that are about Larry Finks as well in the clip after this. I don't know what to make of this information, but I just wish to share it with you. Yeah, Thanks, and please continue to watch and subscribe and smidge the like button for me.
Today is Friday, April 21st at noon. Okay, so I was just getting frustrated and I thought, let me map this out in a mind map that people can follow. So, Epstein is alive. He's parading around as a mulatto dude that calls himself Jim Norris. You can get more intel from Donald Trump's trafficked daughter, Lydia Durham, on Telegram. There are no coincidences. Epstein, who is he at the root? Traces to Israel, Mossad. Okay, let's talk through the structure of Epstein's empire. Speaking here is Heather Blessington, Brainwash444. Today is Friday, April 21st at noon. Okay, so I was just getting frustrated and I thought, let me map this out in a mind map that people can follow. So, Epstein is alive. He's parading around as a mulatto dude that calls himself Jim Norris. You can get more intel from Donald Trump's trafficked daughter, Lydia Durham, on Telegram. There are no coincidences. Epstein, who is he at the root? Traces to Israel, Mossad, Chabad, ISIS. Mossad is Israeli intelligence. Chabad is Israeli evil religion. ISIS. This is it. Okay? This is where we focus, okay? This is the map of Epstein, okay? But we're focused here. Why? Because we like to talk about, I don't know, pervert sex stories in Little St. James Island. It's a small P of the big picture, okay? Hollywood, celebs, people go to the island, okay? I believe this was tied in with Terramar, which I called the Moab. This is relative to CRISPR, Bill Gates, who the heck knows how else, but it would seem logical they'd be combining these two together, okay? Terramar, you can look it up. I call it the faraway land. Think island of Dr. Moreau, worst case scenario, creating who knows what here. Just dropped a video on that with Ghislaine Maxwell wearing the shirt. Okay. Moving on to sex clubs. Nexium, Keith Raniere, clubs like One Taste. That was all part of it. This sex club thing actually is probably connected here, but we'll just connect them all because they probably are. Because once you want the DNA for this type of thing from these people, yeah. I believe Stormy Daniels was branded in one of these clubs. I'm sure this is connected. Yeah, I'm sure it's supposed to be like this. Okay, so on to Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret is that she is a victor. We should be talking about hermaphrodite, meaning born with both genders, okay, rather than a trans agenda. It's about this. Further intel could be had from Kirby Summers. She was on Twitter. I'm not sure where she is now, but she had all the intel on Lex Wexner. She was the sex slave for Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. She had a podcast out there. You could probably find as well. This is where I come in. Epstein child model trafficking at age 16. I was trafficked from the Waldorf Astoria. Now you know why that has been in the news relative to Klaus Schwab and what's his name that wiped out there. That's why they're trying to tell you Epstein traffics from Waldorf Astoria. I was trafficked from there at age 16, taken to Paris and Milan under the guise of modeling. Really, they targeted my bloodline, and it's an MK Ultra torture program. I was starved. They tried to give me implants. It was a pedophile hell. I dropped the 60 Minutes documentary I was interviewed for 30 years ago. I'm still talking about it. This all traces to, get all the girls, the bloodline girls that we want to keep married off to royals. It's called Basque Country. That's about the genetics relative to Balenciaga. It tries back to Basque Country. Okay, we got to focus on the right thing. The Balenciaga topic was about this. It's about clones and eggs harvesting. And this is the most terrifying to me. Epstein bar. In the documentary on Victoria's Secret, they tell you the bar connection. They barred us from life, ladies. Do you have EBV, Epstein Barr? I'm sure you do. If you have an autoimmune disease or cancer, you have this at the root. It's a bioweapon. I'm convinced of it. I've been taken down a decade ago and bedridden. They targeted the divine feminine. Why? Because 80% of all autoimmune diseases are women. So this has taken us down, and we're going to get our energy and our life back. Epstein Barr is a bioweapon targeted at women. Okay? Oh, finally, I missed these characters. These are all the characters relative to this child model trafficking. So far, John-Luc Burnell came out. These two are buddies in Paris, okay? This is my handler agent that snaked me as a child. Claude Haddad, they say, is dead. I don't know. Douglas Ash, president of American Models, he was my New York agent. Monique Pollard, she's the one who snagged me off the runway when I was 16 in New York City at the Waldorf Astoria. So all these characters here are under all of this, okay? Thanks. Any questions? Give me a buzz. 262-424-4497. Rock's Breeding Hub. I was with Larry Fink's family. I provide you all of the detail here of what has occurred, including all the journalists who have silenced this intel for now 4 years. I thought it was 3. It's been 4. you lose track of time as you have to hold all this for everyone. And the reason I need them to share is because they have the reach. I don't have the reach. So this has been an integrity test. The children are trained in the group homes to boil these bones, and then they bring the bones, ride their bikes into the pine forest, and lay the bones as they are trained. Newberry apartment is a satanic hellhole. There's babies crying through the grates at night. I gave you my dialogue with a remote viewer. Here's me describing more of what I'm seeing in real time. Very important to note, the homes here have multiple addresses. So if you're worried about the election, well, maybe look at Ripon, Wisconsin, because the houses have multiple addresses. What are they doing up there? Run by Kilgore Attorneys and Zimdar Insurance. These are sacrifice contract agents. This is an MK Ultra bubble town. These people, including Larry Fink's beautiful, amazing family, grandchildren, children, grandparents, everybody, there's no escape unless we shine the light. Here's me texting a remote viewer for help after I stumbled on these bones. The entire atmosphere changed, and they were hunting us, so. Here's what happened to me prior to getting to Ripon, so. I'd already lost everything. I was spending my 401k funds on Airbnbs to get the whole family out while we were chased. Now we've been silenced for 4 years. So, this is the greatest concern. 5-year-old child, she's now 9. She's being completely controlled, and this is a whole community, but we're obviously focused on Larry Fink's family because Larry Fink of BlackRock basically owns us. You ever hear of BlackRock Vanguard? Well, they own the world, they own us, and not for long, because if I could get people to share these videos and information, we could all get out of it. But it blows up the universe, doesn't it? So, again, notice here, forced HPV vaccinations of middle school students. I tagged Candace Owen extensively here. Gave her all the information because she did this episode here. You know, she's always, all of these journalists, you all need to get your head where it needs to go. Candace, why do you think that you did this, a shot in the dark? It was a setup for now. And now I'm handing it to you, and apparently you can't handle the intel. Or you can't handle where it's going to lead us to. It's about the kids, everybody. It's not about the election. It's not about Biden, Harris, Trump, none of it. It's about the children. And I've had enough of sitting on all this while I wait for everybody to, I don't know, get on board. They're force vaccinating the children. We're headed into winter in Wisconsin. I'm now chased to Sedona, Arizona, but they march the children to the National Guard station. It's a whole thing. It's not new. So this guy right here, Larry Fink, I have his daughter, grandchildren, all of them needing and wanting to get out of the satanic hellhole. And I don't know. I do know. The journalists of the United States of America care more about their political candidate than they do about the children. So, here you go. Extensive notes. Okay? Here's me. My information. I also do private media tours. I don't know where this is going to go. But I need to get conversations going with journalists. So, if you have integrity and you actually care about children, reach.
So what do you get when you look up Larry Fink? Well, what we know about him in Google terms, he's the CEO of BlackRock. His son Joshua Fink is the founder of Luma, which is a technology within a healthcare system. Larry Fink is 72 now, from Los Angeles. Larry Fink is in charge of managing over 11.5 trillion in assets, more than half of the US GDP. So I'd say he's more powerful than Elon Musk. Also, when I'm looking into this, right, I fact checked him a bit. He has been accused of having Nazism. Look at the ONT host statement in 2024, espousing Nazi ideologies, and there's a column I found on him, which I found really insightful. I find these things shocking, I do, at the moment, and right. Accused of accusations against the US financier Lawrence Fink. Fact check, look at the ONT. BlackRock CEO Lawrence Fink was accused of espousing Nazi ideologies, advocating for population reduction by a Belarus pro-government TV host. The weekly Top Fake team fact-checked this claim and found no evidence to support the allegation. On the 8th of 2024, viewers of the Belarus State of TV ONT programme Objective Now were shown an excerpt of the speech from Larry Fink, where he talks about population decline. I would like to be mistaken, but in the speech of the CEO of the powerful BlackRock fund, Larry Fink, there are the same old root shoots of evil, familiar to us, aren't they? Listen, the host comments on the video, so I'm not sure what exactly.
Во всем мире прошли памятные мероприятия, посвященные окончанию Второй мировой войны к своему советскому прошлому.
Покажите мне хоть одну страну постсоветского пространства, которая боролась с советским прошлым, которая достигла хоть каких-то положительных итогов в своем развитии.
But with his existential power and his son working in the healthcare system and allegations of that nature, it is a bit strange, isn't it, to say the least. I can say that developed countries in which population is declining will be the winners. In my conversations with the leadership of these large developed countries that pursue xenophobic immigration policies, they would not allow anyone to come. These countries will rapidly develop robotics, artificial intelligence and technology. So the paradigm of negative population growth will change. And the social problem that will arise when people are replaced by machines will be much easier in countries where the population is declining. Sounds like a root plan to me. From the above, the presenter concludes, in order for robots to develop better, the population must be smaller. This is coming from it, thinks, right? Does this remind you of anything? Nazi Out's plan was precisely about extra people. As you know, its goal was to free up living space for the master race. This conclusion contradicts the quote. If we use the host terminology, then Fink is talking about reducing the master race. According to Larry Fink, the rapid population growth in developing countries is not a guarantee of economic success. That wouldn't allow them to narrow the economic gap with developing countries, primarily due to rapidly development of technology in the latter. According to the financier, robots will fill the significant part of world economics need for live labour, which is provided by the developing countries. And to avoid the negative consequences of this, Fink suggests that developing countries not reduce the population, but invest in education. This becomes clear if you look in the financier's full statement. What would you say about this? His relationship with Trump. Larry Fink and Donald Trump, an unexpected partnership, says the March article in 2025. As yet more chaos enveloped 6 weeks of Trump administration, there was a rare and unusual glimmer of hope. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, surprised everyone by handing President Trump a rare victory. After a month of feverish backroom negotiations, the world's most influential investor convinced Hong Kong's richest tycoon and President Trump to let him buy the two parts on the opposite ends of the Panama Canal. Key to the deal is more than 40 years relationship that links Fink and Trump started as young entrepreneurs in New York City. In a blink, Fink helped President save face with China and allowed Trump to take back the canal without a shot being fired. Trump was so pleased that he name-checked the deal this week in his address to Congress. More importantly for Fink, the deal put BlackRock back into good graces of the most vindictive administration since Nixon. And vindicative, sorry. You think to yourself, well, why does he want the opposite ends of the Panama Canal? What is so important to BlackRock to have that for offshore accounts or trafficking or what? Because it's sounding a lot more what this lady's talking about, and I think she has a valid point. Apart from the conspiracies, and I can only say the conspiracies until proven, aren't they? You know, yeah. Let's look into Epstein's old pilot and where he is now, and Nadia, who was another pilot he had, who was a very young gal. I'm also going to talk about MC² Modelling Company and the finders of this one. It's going to be a long couple of hours, but it's stick in there, please. I'll get to the point. Eventually, we get to the bottom of things on this channel. I might not have the best reading voice or the best law skills, but a lot of this is accessible to yourself, and it's no special. You just go and have a look. Everything I'm showing you here is accessible. Just people don't know what to look for. Names have been changed, and all those type of situations now. So I'm finding out a lot. I didn't realise there were so many people who were enablers that got away scot-free, basically, apart from their relationship being in tatters. That they've got away with what they've got away with, you know.